Ireland is neutral country. Ireland didn't join Second World War. In this video we explain why Ireland didn't join Second World War. When France capitulated in June 1940, and German aircraft and armies found themselves only 26 miles from the English shore, the government of Ireland had a very difficult decision to make. Britain or the Nazis? Neither choice was palatable. The Nazis were domineering, aggressive, militaristic and authoritarian, and not the sort of allies that the new Ireland wanted. On the other side, Britain was Ireland's oldest enemy of all. Ireland was technically a British dominion and a member of the British Commonwealth. But antipathy to Britain was so high that effigies of Neville Chamberlain were burnt after the British declaration of war. The course that Eamon de Valera adopted was that of Irish neutrality, steering the country through the war without joining either effort. It was a choice that was popular with the Irish public as a whole. There was a feeling that Ireland was too young and too weak to risk making a moral stand against Nazism, and that its primary duty, a duty that the British in Ireland had neglected, was to look after its own people. Standing with the British Empire, less than 20 years after fighting a bitter and bloody war for independence, was too much to bear. Irish governmental neutrality, however, did not mean that every Irishman and woman were neutral as well. Almost 50,000 Irishmen served in the British Army alone, which must have been an incredibly difficult decision given the recent history of the British Army in Ireland. Others joined the Merchant Navy and the Royal Air Force. Indeed, the youngest wing commander ace in the RAF, Brendan Finucane, had been born in Dublin, although he was living in England when war broke out. One of the Irish government's biggest fears was that the arguments over neutrality would reopen the wounds of the Civil War. The Irish Blueshirts, a semi-fascist organization inspired by Mussolini, was evidence of underlying tension. Many in the anti-treaty IRA also had an enemy of my enemy type relationship with the Abwehr. And between 1939 and 1940 they initiated a bombing campaign in Northern Ireland known as the S-Plan. When this failed, the Northern Campaign of 1942 was started and went on until December 1944. The end result of these was that the British Army had to maintain a significant presence in Northern Ireland at a time when every man was needed. The bravery of the Irish Merchant Navy, properly the Irish Mercantile Marine, also stands out. Due to the unrestricted German submarine warfare, the official neutrality of Irish vessels was ignored. During the Long Watch, Irish mariners kept their isolated country supplied in a campaign every bit as vital to Ireland as the Battle of the Atlantic was for the United Kingdom. Whereas Allied ships could not always respond to SOS calls, Irish ships had a rule. They helped anyone who needed it, no matter the risk to themselves. 20% of all Irish seamen were lost during the war, a testament to the bravery and uniqueness of their kindness. In practice, the Irish governmental policy favoured the Allies. The government allowed the RAF to use the Donegal corridor, a strip of airspace that saved valuable minutes when Coastal Command responded to U-boat sightings, many of which were forwarded to the RAF by the Irish Coast Watching Service. They also gave the British government their weather data, the most important of which was the pre-D-Day weather forecast that persuaded Eisenhower to launch the invasion. They also in turn downed German airmen, while allowing Allied airmen to return to Northern Ireland. The Irish governmental policy during World War II was not perfect. Notably, de Valera signed the Book of Condolences for the death of Adolf Hitler. Ultimately, however, Irishmen played a minor and yet influential role in the eventual downfall of the Nazi regime. Irish men fought and died across the world, Irish women and children were killed in accidental German bombing runs in Dublin and Wexford. Ireland may have been neutral in the Second World War, but that does not mean the Irish people were not involved.